What is happening, guys? Back at you with another video. So, do you all know what today is? Today is Friday the 13th. Yes, Friday the 13th in October. What a day. So, since it's Friday the 13th, I thought it would be a good time to actually rank the Friday the 13th Jason Voorhees movies. And with it being in October, I thought it was a very good time. Definitely a good time. Spooky season, October, that whole spooky season going on, definitely is a good time to rank the Friday the 13th movies, all the Jason movies on Friday the 13th. So, let me preface this by saying I have seen parts of the Friday the 13th movie as a kid, but recently I did dive into the movies and watched all 12 movies again. Honestly, just getting fresh eyes on these movies and just watched them all the way through, binge watching all of them all the way through, basically for the first time. So this is going to be my freshest take on these movies. And I just gotta say, wow, these are some movies, I gotta say. But let's go ahead and get into this ranking. Starting at the bottom for me is going to have to be Jason Takes Manhattan. What a misleading title this was. I'm sure those of y'all that have seen this movie, it was definitely a misleading title. Like, Jason doesn't even go to Manhattan until like the last 15 or so minutes left of the movie. He's basically stuck on a boat. Stuck on a boat with everybody. This should have been called Jason on a Boat. Jason on a Boat. I like this concept of him being on a boat because it's almost like there's no escape from him, almost. So this whole concept of just being stuck on a boat with Jason, really not having any escape. But honestly, this execution was not done really well for me. Although it did have some funny moments. Like, I remember that guy getting his head punched off by Jason. Like, literally, Jason threw one punch. His head comes clean right off. That was a funny part. This movie did have some funny parts. I wouldn't say it necessarily was entertaining at the very least, but it's a movie. Coming up next is going to be part 7. I believe this one was The New Blood. Basically, this is Jason Takes on Carrie. I remember, like, just going into this movie and I heard some things about it. I was like, they were saying how this is basically when Jason takes on Carrie. I was like, okay, how did that even come about? So Jason takes on Carrie. Basically, this girl has telekinesis in the movie and telepathy and stuff like that, kind of stuff going on. And I don't know. It was interesting. It was an interesting watch. I won't say I really enjoyed it or liked it too much, but it was something. It was something, I gotta say. It did have some nice brutal kills in here. And then her dad comes in at the end or something. I don't know what that was all about. But nonetheless, yeah, I mean, at least I saw it and I got that experience with this movie. Coming up next on my ranking is going to be part 5. A New Beginning, I believe it was called, right? Basically, this is the one with Roy. I remember hearing about this one where Jason wasn't in this one, and it was basically a sort of whodunit mystery trying to figure out who is behind the mask, who is behind Jason's mask. And, you know, it turns out to be a person we didn't even have that much interaction with. You know, the things about whodunit mysteries is that you kind of interact with the character. That way, it leads it up to a mystery, leads it up to interpretation, to where it's kind of a surprise in the end to who's behind the mask. And we didn't really interact with this character of Roy too much, so it's like, I don't even care. Didn't even care. I mean, it has some good stuff going for it. It has some pretty good, decent kills in here, but other than that, I mean, not too much. Moving on, we're going to go with Jason Goes to Hell. And I believe this, which one is this one? The 9th entry. The 9th entry in this Friday the 13th Jason Voorhees movie series. Jason Goes to Hell. This was definitely an interesting one. I will definitely say this one was really not a very good movie. Honestly, kind of bad movie. But with it being bad, it actually turned out to be kind of entertaining on how bad it really was. Jason Goes to Hell is a very interesting one. I didn't hear too much about this one, honestly, beforehand. I was just kind of going into it and just watching this movie. You know, you got this bounty hunter trying to go after Jason. He's saying he knows how to kill him. And honestly, when watching this movie, this really set up a subplot that was definitely so similar to Halloween. To where you have the whole relatives of Jason. You know, he has a sister, has a niece, and the only way to kill him is by them killing him and stuff like that. And then you have like some weird Jason worm or dark worm, whatever it is. And basically just this whole shenanigans of just him having a sister and him having a niece, I guess, and all that stuff like that. and dark warm, like I said, and trying to be reborn and stuff like that. And honestly, it was kind of weird, but honestly, it was entertaining on how bad it what actually is. And then we got that little stinger at the very end with Freddy Krueger's glove taking down the mask into hell, which sets up something interesting for the future. But with this movie, it's a movie. I'll say that it's a movie. Moving on to the next one on the list, and that is going to be Jason X. Jason X was a very interesting watch, I gotta say. This is another one that was definitely a very bad movie. Not very good movie, but I gotta say, it was definitely entertaining on how bad it was. I remember seeing parts of this one when it first came out, or at least when I was younger, I remember seeing parts of this one. So I didn't really fully see it until recently, and I gotta say, when your franchise goes to space, that kind of is a down point, honestly, for horror and different things like that, I would say. Leprechaun went to space. I think Hellraiser was in space at 1.2 and stuff. So it's very interesting when your franchise goes to space. It's sort of one of those low down points and stuff. And this one was kind of no exception. But honestly, it was entertaining to a degree to where on how bad it was. And it had some funny moments. I gotta say, it definitely had some funny moments. In the way that we got Jason in here going into the future, going up into space on a spaceship, and just hacking at people, killing people and stuff like that. And we get like an Uber Jason too. It's an interesting movie, honestly. It's kind of entertaining on, like I said, it's entertaining, but it's a bad movie, but kind of entertaining actually. Moving on to the next one on the list, and this one choice might get some hate because I know that people are very, very, when it comes to saying how this movie is to them, it's sacred and stuff like that. But honestly, after watching it recently and basically getting a fresh eyes on it, I gotta say that I put it at this spot for a specific reason. So coming in at this spot is going to be Friday the 13th Part 1. Now we got this killer we got this whodunit sort of situation, like it's a POV shot, you don't know who the killer is, but it turns out it's Jason's mom, Pamela. So with this one, I thought it was very interesting to have her as the killer and get some of these POV shots throughout. But this movie is definitely dated. It really shows how dated it is in this movie. I still think it has some entertaining qualities to it, and it has some interesting kills and stuff like that. But this one just does definitely show its age on this recent rewatch. Well, not rewatch, but recent watch that I had with it. So yeah, interesting stuff that went in here. I know it's the first one, and a lot of people call it sacred and stuff as the first one since it's the original and stuff like that. But with fresh eyes, I gotta say, definitely shows its age, but it does have some redeeming qualities to it. Moving on to the next one. Speaking of which, we got part 2 at this spot. Part 2, I think, was definitely a little better, where we actually get Jason as the killer, basically him in his sack head form in this one. I like this one. Had some very interesting kills in this one also. Honestly, I like this one a little bit more than the first one because we do get Jason, in fact, and we are getting some of those brutal, interesting kills in this one. And honestly, this one I wouldn't say I'd like a whole lot, but I think it's definitely a step up above the first one, in my opinion, to where I just think it's a little better. I just find it more interesting in the character of Jason. Having Jason in this one actually show up and kill people, honestly, I liked it a little bit more. Moving on to the next one on the list, and that is going to be Part 6. Part 6, I kind of do like this one. Part 6 is actually pretty good for me. This one is where Jason actually comes back, takes back over his stomping grounds, and, got some pretty brutal, interesting kills in this one. Really did like the kills that they did in this one. The way he's just skulking around the campsite and just picking off people one by one. Had some very interesting kills. I really enjoyed the kills in this one. This one is honestly pretty good. I was actually entertained by it. And I gotta say that this one, I actually did kind of enjoy. Moving on though to the next one, that is going to be Part 3. This is the one where we get Jason in his hockey mask, his famous, well-known hockey mask finally. And I gotta say, this one was kind of interesting. We got like a biker gang in this one. The way he's able to pick off the biker gang in this one has some interesting kills, like I said. And the way that this one just goes, like it's kind of like a full-out Jason that we get finally in this one. And just him going after a biker gang, going after some other people, just the way he's in this movie. Honestly, I find it pretty good. It's definitely a close tie between Part 6 and Part 3. I was kind of edging out. Honestly, on a different day, Part 6 might edge out over Part 3. Part 3 might edge out over 6. Honestly, it's very close for me when it comes to these two. But at least for right now, Part 3 just edges out a little bit over Part 6. And getting into this next one, I know people are probably going to say something about this pick, but like I gotta say, when it came down to it, this one I really enjoyed what they were able to do with Jason and do some of the story elements in this one. So I'm going to go with, at this spot, the 2009 remake of Friday the 13th. Now, the way that this one plays out is really interesting. It kind of gathers different elements from the first 4 movies and puts them together in one movie. So we got Sackhead Jason in there for a little bit. We got him with his hockey mask in there too. And this one is just full-on Jason mode, Jason movie. That's what I like to see. I like to see a full-on Jason movie. Instead of this one being a remake of the original one where they try to have his mother in there as the killer, they put Jason full-on Jason in this movie. Now, I do like the little flashback that they do in the beginning where they do show like a little flashback of some of the campers who actually killed Pamela Voorhees, and Jason is in the background. He sees it and stuff like that. He goes to his mom, picks up the head and stuff like that, and reminisces about it, and just being able to witness that. Like, I liked how they did that in a quick little flashback thing in the beginning, and then after that we just go on full Jason mode in this movie throughout the rest of the runtime. I really enjoy this movie. I know a lot of people don't usually talk about the remake or anything like that, but I gotta say, they do a lot of horror remakes. This one, in my opinion, is actually the one that is better. One of those ones that's actually better done with this one, where they're gathering different elements from the first 4 movies and just throw them into one movie. Honestly, they did a pretty good job with this horror remake. I actually do like this one. I've watched it a couple times since it's been out, so I really like this one. I really like what they were able to do with this one. Get into one of the fan favorites, at least that's what I've been hearing, that this one is one of the fan favorites, and that is going to be Part 4. Part 4 is, honestly, I found myself actually enjoying this one and being entertained by it. This one is actually done pretty well. I like this one because it is just a full mode on of Jason. Like, just seriously, honestly, this one's good. We had the young what's his name, young Jarvis in here, the Corey Feldman, I believe it was, in here, and honestly goes on to be a character for a couple more movies afterwards. But like, honestly, this one is done pretty well. I really like this one. You got Jason that just wreaking havoc in here, and honestly, let's just enjoy this one. Honestly, it was done pretty well. But coming at the number 1 spot, and this is probably my favorite movie that features Jason, and that is going to be Freddy vs. Jason. I'm sorry, but yes, Freddy vs. Jason is just my overall thing that features Jason. Just like the inclusion of Freddy Krueger, you got Jason, and the way that they're able to bring these 2 characters to a movie together. Honestly, the plot for the movie actually works pretty well when it comes to bringing these 2 characters together. Sure, it's a little cartoonish, but like, this is where we get prime Freddy Krueger, at least for me, prime Freddy Krueger, to where he's a little comedic but still scary and dark at the same time. You got Jason in here wreaking havoc, and just the way it was. I know a lot of people will probably say that this one features Freddy Krueger a little bit more, but honestly, it's okay for me because I do like Freddy Krueger more anyways. But honestly, Freddy Krueger is the one with the personality. Jason is the one who doesn't talk or anything like that and just wreaks havoc. So it works for me in this movie to where Freddy Krueger is the personality and the talkative one, and Jason is wreaking havoc and not talking at all. That works for me. I enjoy this movie. This is probably the thing I've rewatched the most that has Jason in it. So I got to put it at the number 1 spot, at least for me. But that's going to do it for my ranking. Let me know down in the comments below, how would you rank the Friday the 13th Jason Voorhees movies? It was quite a task to finish all these movies. It took me almost 10 days to finish all these movies. So honestly, I'm glad I at least did it and was able to at least watch these movies with fresh eyes and do this ranking for y'all. So let me know down in the comments below, how would you rank the Friday the 13th movies? And let's see. But that's going to do our first video. Hope y'all enjoyed it. Remember, if you want to be a part of Team Legendary, all you got to do is subscribe and turn notifications on so you know when I post another video. Hope y'all have an awesome day. And remember, be legendary.